when we got into St. Louis, got dressed and went up to play this dance. We all got on the music. We got up on the bandstand, and they had the music racks up there, you know, all set up for us. And when I looked on the music rack, lo and behold, all of the racks was filled with reefers. And I'm saying to myself, what the devil is this, you know? So before we hit, and Louis came out after he finished warming up, here walks up 6 little guys all dressed alike with their hats and everything on and whatnot. And they walked up to the bandstand and said, Louis Armstrong, Pops. And, you know, he was a great greeter. I don't think nobody could greet anybody any more beautiful than Louis Armstrong. Even if he didn't know you, he made you feel that you knew him. So he says, yeah, man, what's happening there? He says, we want to present you with this. And they held their hands out like that. And it was a great big joint roll in the form of a baseball bat. It must have been about 1 foot long. And they had taken like a fountain pen and punched holes in it to read, to the King of the Vipers from the Vipers Club of St. Louis, Missouri. And, you know, back in those days, it was not illegal to smoke pot. I mean, we smoked pot all on the bandstand. And so I asked Louis, I said, Louis, what are we going to do with this, man? He says, we're going to smoke a little bit of it every day, and then we're going to have mez for dessert. And Mesro used to mail to Louis through the mail, everywhere we went, marijuana.
Dream about a reaper 5 feet long, mighty immense but not too strong. You'll be high, but not for long. If you's a viper, I'm the king of everything. I gotta be high before I can swing. Light a tea and let it be. If you're a viper, when your throat gets dry and you
If You're a
know
Viper by Bob Howard and the Boys. I dreamed about a reefer 5 foot long, the mighty Mez, and not too strong. Well, if there's ever been a living embodiment of what Norman Mailer called the white Negro, then it was the perverse and enigmatic figure of Milton Mez Mesro, a well-off Jewish boy with a passable facility on the clarinet. But Mesro did the opposite of what thousands of assimilating African Americans did. He tried to pass for black, as he describes in his somewhat fictionalized autobiography, Really the Blues.
Overnight, I was the most popular man in Harlem. New words came into being to meet the situation. The Mez, and the mighty Mez, referring, I blush to say, to me and to the T both. Mez roll, to describe the kind of fat, well-packed and clean cigarette I used to roll. The hard cutting Mez, and the righteous bush. Some of those phrases really found a permanent place in Harlemese, and even crept out to color American slang in general. I was knocked out the other day when I picked up a copy of Cap Calloway's Hipster's Dictionary and found Mez defined there as anything supreme, genuine.
When your throat gets dry and you know you're high, everything is dandy. Just truck on down to the candy store, blow your top on peppermint candy, then you know your body is sand. You don't care if you don't pay rent. The sky is high, and so am I. Whoa, if you're a viper.
And so the Mez became a welcome and sometimes essential component of any band he took a fancy to join.
Where's the man with the jive? There's a man from way uptown to take away your blues. And anytime the man comes round, the viper spreads the news. He is known from coast to coast to every cat alive. And anytime they give a toast to the man who brings the jive. Whenever you're feeling small, don't care for this life at all, light up and get real tall. Here comes the man with the jive. Don't sit around moaning sigh and act like you're gonna die. Light up, baby, and get real high. Here comes the man with the jive. Now you feel like a millionaire, but not a dime in your jeans. Although you don't get no fare, feel like going down to New Orleans. Don't cry if your gal is gone. Those vipers, they don't stay for long. Light a pal and sing a song. Here comes the man with jive. I'm the jive, jive man. I'm the jive, jive man. I got my jive right in my hand. Where's the man with jive? Bring him on. Bring him on. Bring him on. Well, look here, Gates. How much is your jive? 3 for a half? 3 for a half don't make me laugh. Well, 4 for a dollar. Woo, I'm gonna holler. Well, holler. I don't care. Well, look here, boys. Everybody's nice and tall. Let's light up and have a ball.
On the corner, I was to become known as the Reefer King, the link between the races, the philosopher, the Mez, Papa Mez, Mother Mez, Pop's boy, the white mayor of Harlem, the man about town, the man that hipped the world, the man that made history, the man with the righteous bush, he who diggeth the digger, Father Neptune. I don't mean to boast. That's what the cats really called me at different times. I did become a kind of link between the races there. My education was completed on the stroll, and I became a Negro. The next 10 years of my life were to be spent there and in a cellar opium pad a few blocks away.
He is here. Oh, the man with jive. He is king. Oh, the man with jive. He is when. Oh, the man with jive. He is gone. Oh, the man with the jive. The man's been here and gone.
Violinist Stuff Smith and the man with the jive. No mistaking the close association of marijuana and jazz in lifestyle terms. But what effect did cannabis sativa have on the music itself? Do you play any differently when you're high?
After I finished the weed, I went back to the bandstand. Everything seemed normal, and I began to play as usual. I passed a stick of gauge around for the other boys to smoke, and we started a set. The first thing I noticed was that I began to hear my saxophone as though it was inside my head. But I couldn't hear much of the band in back of me, although I knew they were there. All the other instruments sounded like they were way off in the distance. I got the same sensation you'd get if you stuffed your ears with cotton and talked out loud. Then I began to feel the vibrations of the reed much more pronounced against my lips, and my head buzzed like a loudspeaker. I found I was slurring much better and putting just the right feeling into my phrases. I was really coming on. All the notes came easing out of my horn like they were already been made up, greased and stuffed into the bell. So all I had to do was to blow a little and send them on their way, one right after the other, never missing, never behind time, all without an ounce of effort. The phrases seemed to have more continuity to them, and I was sticking to the theme without ever going tangent. I felt I could go on playing for years without running out of ideas and energy. There wasn't any struggle. It was all made to order. And suddenly there wasn't a sour note or a discord in the world that could bother me.
And take it from me, Mes Mesro knew more than any man alive about sour notes and discords. Any of his records would bear that out. But just as alcohol had a different social profile, so the kind of community espoused by weed smokers was very different to that of the average saloon.
Alcohol and marijuana are very, sort of socializing things. It's something that people do, it loosens them up, and it brings about, their bonding and so on.
Man, they can say what they want about us vipers, he said. But you just dig them lush hounds with their old antique jive, always coming up loud and wrong, whipping their old ladies and wasting up all their pay. And then the next day, your head feels like all the hammers in the pianos beating out a tune on your brain. Just look at the difference between you and them other cats. They come uptown, juiced to the gills, cracking out a line and passing out in anybody's hallway. Don't nobody come up that way when he picks up some good grass.
In 1937, the federal government did to marijuana what it had tried and failed earlier to do with alcohol, and banned it. But whereas in the past the police would have regarded pot smoking with a tolerant and even protective attitude, suddenly possession of a single joint could land you in the back of the paddy wagon. But just as smoking had been celebrated in the old, innocent days, there were songs for the new measures as well.
I stopped by Joe the other night, and all of the cabs looked beat. And no one sounded me to say, "Sit, are you all me?" No, I never really do. The reason that the cats all look so square. But now I'm hip and I dig it, because the guy is in the air. Boy, cats can't find their job at night, so now they hurry home, since that G-man's got the G-man and gone. They have to drink their lush and stagger, even though they know it's wrong, 'cause the G-man's got the G-man and gone. Boy, one night when the George was jumping, and a knock came at the door, in stepped a man with a shiny badge and a brand new 44. They've arrested my connection, and I can't find any more, 'cause the G-man's got the G-man and gone. Because he called T-Man. All the jive is
And who better to sound an elegiac note for the end of the age of innocence than Louis Armstrong, as he describes in a letter to his British friends John Chilton and Max Jones.
As we used to say, gauge is more of a medicine than a dope. But with all the rigmarole going on, no one can do anything about it. After all, the vipers during my heydays are way up there in age, too old to suffer those drastic penalties. So we had to put it down. But as we all get as old as Methuselah, our memories will always be of lots of beauty and warmth from Gage. That was my life, and I don't feel ashamed of that. Mary Warner, honey, you sure was good, and I enjoyed you heap much. But the price got a little too high to pay, law-wise. At first, you was a misdemeanor. But as the years rolled on, you lost your mistu and got meaner and meaner. Jailhousely speaking. Bye, boo. I'll have to put you down, dearest.
Jive's gone, jive's gone, jive's gone, jive's gone. Ran to go to Mexico. all the jive is gone.